Randall Hughes with God Glorified, and we're commenting on our scripture reading for today for June the 14th, much from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then from Psalm 49. And the book of Ecclesiastes, and it's moved through time a little bit. I believe we thought Proverbs was around 961. We're now in 947, 954. And maybe 954 was the start of the page, and 947 is really probably 947. So we're at least 14 years later, at least, from the time of the writing of Proverbs. And Solomon's reign began. Running out of space here. Around 985. So about 24 years into Solomon's reign when he wrote Proverbs, and now 947, so we're almost 40 years into his reign. And we have a cynical old man, is what we have. And he's looked at life, and he's feeling a little bit cheated. He said, everything I've done, I'm about to die. I'm going to be dying here before long, and who's going to get it? I've worked hard to achieve all these things, and who gets it? And so there's a couple of messages that are important for us to grasp. I believe it's 38 times I have marked that he says vanity and vexation. He uses the word vanity some 38 times in this book. Not all of them in today's reading, but quite a few times. And some translations say it's spitting into the wind. Meaningless, pointless. Why do I do this? And there seems to be nothing to it. And yet, there's a phrase that he repeats, I believe, about 29 to 30 times, somewhere along in there. And it's under the sun. And I tried to pause to emphasize it a few times. About 28, 29, 30 times, something like that, during this short book of about 12 chapters. Under the sun. It's important for you to grasp, and I want you to hear this right now. Not everything that happens in this life is about this life. There is a life above the sun. There is another place that God has prepared. And depending how you live under the sun will depend how you live in the future. And so there's challenges that you're going to face. There's going to be circumstances and situations. I don't understand all the testings, all the things that we go through. I don't understand why God lifted the hedge off of Job, and yet you say Job was blessed immensely. Yes, he suffered a very severe, massive time. We don't truly know how long that period was in which he lost everything he had. Lost his health, his family, all of his possessions. All he had was 3 comforters that were accusing him. 3 accusers instead of 3 friends. And yet, I don't think he ever knew what was happening in heaven, where God was saying to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? I wonder if there's times, and I've mentioned this a few different times because I think there's at least 3 instances in Scripture with Job and Ahab and David where it seems that there was some heavenly interaction in which Satan gained a momentary advantage, so to speak. And in Ahab, it was his destruction. Job and David both survived, although David faltered more than Job. And so I just want you to know there's going to be testings. The book of Hebrews, I believe it's chapter 13, about the 2nd, 3rd verse, it says, be careful to entertain strangers, lest ye entertain angels unaware. That tells me that angels can appear like human beings. And so I'm just wanting to, as we're thinking about considering what Solomon has said and the vanities and vexation of spirit and the seemingly futile labors that we may endure and striving to do things, and seems like it's all uphill. There is something waiting above the sun. And so that's what I'm living for. There's times it feels frustrating when circumstances and situations don't go the way that I want them to. But ultimately, I have a hope. I have salvation. I've sat under wonderful men and women of God that have put His word into my heart, that have helped me to understand and to receive the salvation that's promised in this book. And I have His Spirit living inside of me to direct me and guide me and to lead into all truth. And so I'm so blessed. And so there's times I could get discouraged, but I try to remind myself it's not all about down here. He who dies with the most toys still dies. Not everything that happens in this life is about this life. And so be preparing for the next life. Be preparing your heart to meet your Maker. Because there'll be the end of this book and we'll just have to wait to get there. And Solomon wraps it up, has a little bit of his senses about him when he wraps it up. There's a lot of negativism, a lot of cynicalism, a lot of frustration that he expresses. But at the end, there's intermingled some good advice about there being a God, and we want to give Him glory. We want to live for Him, the one who made us. And so that's my challenge to you today, as well as to me. There's not a thing that I say to anybody at any time that's not applicable to me as well. And so just know I love you, seeking to love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, and pray that you have a blessed day. In Jesus, God bless you.